me first. I am a Corellian High Priestess. I'm a paladin, uh, and I am the temple head, the joint head of the Universal Temple of Gaia. I have been with the tradition since I was 15 years old, so that's a long time. I'm 30, 31 now, almost 32. And I have ADHD. And the reason why I wrote this class is to give everybody a little bit of a peek into what working with Magick and having ADHD is like for me. Particularly the basics, because the big stuff, the high magic, the ritual, the focusing of large amounts of energy, that's easy for me. That comes naturally. But it's the small stuff like grounding and releasing and shielding and meditation that are the foundations of our practice that I found to be a little bit more difficult. And so it's taken me a really long time to um, to accept this and overcome it. And so I will be talking about that process. ADHD, the first thing I want to say before anything else, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Okay? If you suspect you might have ADHD or any other mental condition, consult a health professional that is not me. I am not qualified. All right? So this is just my personal experience. Disclaimers out of the way. Yay. So let me see here. Let me consult my few notes. So ADHD is a neurological condition that affects my brain, and it affects my ability to plan, to focus on, and to execute or complete tasks. And this could be any kind of task: writing a workshop, writing a ritual, writing an email, checking the mail, I don't know, doing the dishes, anything that you can imagine. It is almost like it's a monumental task. It's Herculean. It takes a lot of energy, which I have plenty of, but sometimes I do get tired. Running on this amount of octane 24/7 is exhausting. But I persevere because I know that I can do it because I've done it before. And so sometimes having ADHD can be a real blessing because it allows me to think outside the box and connect this disparate idea to another disparate idea over here and see where they meet in the middle. All of these little points of information in my brain constantly going like a hamster on a wheel, kind of mishmash together, and I go, oh, look at this. This is kind of cool. I wonder if anybody's thought about this before. So this, how does this affect my magic? I have had to learn how to adapt very quickly. I have had to tackle the trial and error process basically until I'm purple in the face. Because when I was a younger witch, I got stuck on the idea that it had to be done the way it was written, or else I wasn't really working. I wasn't really doing it. And I can't remember who I had this conversation with. I think it was either Lord Dawn or Lady Steph or Lady Crystal or somebody in the higher up hierarchy that are amazing people, and they really have been working with magic for years and years and years. And the advice that I was given was, does it feel right? And so if it feels right, I know it's working. And so, for example, I have a hard time visualizing, like picturing an apple in my brain. Like I'm holding an apple in my hand. I don't see an apple, but I can feel that apple. I can feel it. This apple is giant. It's a Honeycrisp, and it is golden and yellow and green a little bit, and it has little speckles all over it, and it's shining because I will it. to do that. And so my magic tends to be really rapid fire. I don't mess around. If I want something done, boom, I get it done. Because if I slow myself down, which is helpful at times to do, we'll get to that later. If I slow myself down and I go through it step by step by step, then I lose the momentum. My brain gets distracted by something, anything. It could be, a random noise that my phone makes. I don't know, something going on outside over there, somebody, doing something goofy on the webcams or something. My brain is lost and it just derails so quickly. So when I ground, for example, there is a little switch box in my brain that I've built in my imagination. And there are a series of buttons on this switchboard because I like technology. So I have a button that says ground now. And I flick that button, boom, and I'm grounded. And then I have another one named shield. I press the button in my brain mentally, and my shields come up lightning quick. And I have a number of shields, actually. One of them is a really cool one that I learned from Byron Ballard, the emerald shield. It's just like it's as if I were encasing myself in a giant piece of emerald. And she's the one actually who clued me in a few years ago to the whole lightning fast kind of thing. Because if you're being bombarded with information and you really need to get yourself out of that, and you're being attacked verbally or whatever by somebody, you need to shield right now. You can't take 5 minutes. I can do it the slow way. It's just harder for me. And I think part of this is because I work really well under pressure. I work really well under a time crunch. I procrastinate like crazy. And I don't necessarily like doing it. And other people, it drives them nuts. But when I only have a couple hours to a deadline, you can be darn sure I can type a 6-page paper in 3 hours. No problem. Did it all through school, did it all through college. It's exhausting. There's a tax, there's a price for everything, right? But it's just how I've rolled. And it's so interesting sitting in this space right now because yesterday there was a class that my friend Rebecca Lynn did on death and dying, like preparing for your own death. And afterward, we had a really great conversation with about 4 or 5 of us in there, and we talked about our loved ones who had passed and our experiences with death. And I cried my eyeballs out, and it released so much energy. And guys, let me tell you what, this is the most grounded and centered and focused I have felt in years. And, before yesterday, I was all like nervous and worried about presenting this class. And I was trying desperately to write all these notes down about things that I wanted to tell you. And Alan goes, Liz, you work well doing things off the cuff. And I'm like, you know what, Alan, you have a really good point there. And he's like, so just do that. If it worked before, it'll work again. Yes, Aisha says in the chat room, crying is the best form of release. Use it, let it flow so you can see that rainbow in the end. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that validation, Aisha. I really, really appreciate that. So let me see. Okay, we're 11 minutes in. What else do I want? If you guys have questions also, please just stick them in the room. And if you want to say something out loud, just raise your hand. There's a raise hand button on here somewhere. I'm not sure where it's at, but I welcome questions or comments. And if you have any relatable feels, please share, because relatability, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like I'm not the only slightly crazy one around here. And Aisha is dying. So I'll give you a few more things that I use in my mundane life to kind of help control my crazy. And one of the tools that I picked up years ago, back when I was doing a lot of hands-on everyday work for the tradition, far more than I'm doing presently, was a clipboard and a legal pad. Okay. So I have, let's see, some people say, oh, you should just get a planner, Liz. Planners are nice. But the thing about having ADHD for me is that I don't use planners very well. I kind of forget that they exist because they're closed. They have a cover. The lid is on it. With this, there is no lid. The list is right in front of me. And yes, this says Minecraft on it. I play Minecraft, but I couldn't find my other clipboard. I have multiple clipboards for the different areas of my life. It's like the delegation system for money, the envelope system that my nana taught me how to use really, really early back on in the day before I had a bank account. She's like, Liz, stick $20 in each envelope for everything throughout the month. And then by the end of the month, you'll have enough to pay all your bills. Trust me. And I used to do that a lot. So I kind of adapted that for myself. I have like 4 of these laying around here somewhere. Another thing about ADHD is things get lost really easily, insanely easily. Let me see here. Let me read the chat room. Let's see. Oh, good. Let's see. Okay, so Rachel says, sometimes I feel motivated and calm after a good cry and will watch a sad movie. Yes! It's amazing how refreshing a good cry can be, isn't it? Another person has a hard time meditating too. Their mind is like a hamster wheel. And somebody else doesn't use planners and doesn't like to have space restrictions. That's a really good one, okay? These tiny little boxes in here, they're too small. I can't write nice big notes in these things. They're super tiny. I need lots of space. This has like 100 pages. I can go on and on and on. Somebody else mentions that they use a happy planner with stickers and things. That's cool. Whatever works for you. And then Aisha mentions that meditation can be done by everyone. Where did that go? But everyone has their own individual way of processing it because all of our brains work so differently. Aisha, I freaking love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. So way back when I was a baby witch, I had a really hard time just sitting there like this, letting the mind go blank or letting, thoughts just roll on by, blah, 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 peaceful, serene. No, I need to be moving. I'm surprised I don't have a pen to click on right now because in class, clickety pen, clickety pen, clickety pen annoys everybody in your class if none of them have ADHD, especially the teacher when she's trying to teach. I would sit there and undo the pen and see how fast I could put it back together. That was a lot of fun. And but the thing about this, and the thing that's taken me a really long time to kind of figure out and analyze and then figure out how I could make use of it, is that if I'm talking to other people while I'm trying to complete a task that my brain really has no interest in doing, like, I don't know, organizing my bedroom or doing the dishes or sorting the laundry, it goes by so much quicker because my brain is distracted and then my body can just do it and it gets done like that quick. So I know that I've called on a lot of you throughout the years. Hey, will you be my body double? I call it the body double or the doppelganger. Will you just sit here and be my body double for a while so that I can get this stuff done and we can catch up and talk? Oh yeah, sure, no problem, Liz. Great to have that giant bucket of friends that you can call on and that will most likely be able to do that for you. Um, because it can get really frustrating and lonely. This disorder can be really lonely because I get stuck in my brain. And what makes it even more difficult is that I recognize that there are people that I can't even remember. And I see them post on Facebook and I'll be like, holy crap, this person I haven't talked to in 5 years. How do I forget about people that I. But I have to slow down for that moment and remind myself that my condition is not my fault. And I have to forgive myself in that moment for not remembering that that person actually existed. So if you haven't talked to me in a really long time, please just reach out and say hi. Because if you ain't in front of me, you ain't in my brain a lot of the time. And it sucks. It sucks. So if you reach out, you'll make it suck less. And then life will be awesome because, you know, having less life suck is grand. So let me see. Yes, having the best support system, Aisha, yes. Definitely need that support system in for everybody. Everybody needs a support system because everybody has that point to which they get and they're like, nope, sorry, can't do it, checking out, no more, can't handle it. And at that point, then you know who your friends are because you give them a call and they'll sit on the phone with you for 5 hours and make sure that your butt is going to be okay. And let's see, I can't use those little boxes either. No more room. Oh, Lord Don, I love you. No room for the illustrations. Exactly. I can draw all over this thing all day long. And you know, something else that annoys me about planners like this is they have like the daily, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday lines. They're not big enough. I can't write on these itty bitty little lines. I'll get like hand cramp and then I'll just lose interest because it hurts. I don't want to do stuff that hurts. Screw that. One moment, please. Got some tea here to help my throat today. Um, so something else that I've noticed that really helped way back in the. Yeah, I need a whole page for a day, Aisha. Exactly. And Lady Steph, you'll remember this. I remember you and I used to sit for a good hour or two every week, and we would go over my notebooks. I had a blue notebook, a blue legal pad for Correllian tradition stuff, and then a canary legal pad for my own personal shit. And we would just sit there and I would take notes and she would tell me what the tradition needs done. And then I would come up with weird ideas and, you know, jot them down in the margins and stuff. And the thing that helped the most was that on my lists, there are no times. There are no targets. There are no dates unless absolutely freaking necessary. Because time, what is that? My idea of time is now and not now. If it's not now, then it doesn't exist. And my time horizon is really different from everybody else's too. If you don't have ADHD or any related neurological conditions, right? So let me explain to you a little bit about how that works, okay? Think about what 5 minutes feels like to you. And now imagine waking up tomorrow and saying, oh, okay, it'll take me about 5 minutes to start coffee. Right? Start a pot of coffee. Put the water in, get the filter out, get your coffee out, put it on, press the button, go. And 25 minutes has elapsed in the space of what feels like 5. That is a small example of what I go through every single day. Even with medication. Medication is not a cure. I love my Adderall. It helps me get a lot of stuff done. But sometimes I just got to roll with the punches. So if something needs to get done at a specific time, it might, if you ask me to do it. Because I do work well under time crunches, as I mentioned before. And let's see here in the comments. Nothing like our support system on Earth. Yes, Ebony, you're absolutely correct. Time is a ploy from the clock industry. Well, time may be a construct that we made up, but it's a necessary construct, as Lord Don teaches us and Lady Steph teaches us in the degree lessons and World Walker training. By the way, I heavily recommend World Walker training if you have an expansive mind like mine, because when I get into that kind of groove, working with the World Walkers or working big magic, let's say, right? The big things that I can go ham-handed at and I can really grab a hold to it. And it's a lot for me to focus on at once, and it gives me that surge of energy that makes me feel really good and excited to do it. That's a lot easier for me. And so it might do the same for you. Let's see. So Aisha says, I feel like time can be a stressor. Having a deadline doesn't let you live your way of life. Yes, that is correct. Aisha, absolutely correct. And let's see. Time is a mental construct. Yep. And every person with ADHD reacts differently to different techniques even. Yes, Rachel, absolutely correct. And I will get into that shortly. Remind me if I don't, because I don't have a pen. I forgot my pen. I know, and I don't my laptop's like way out here so that y'all can see my pretty face and my nice cloth that I have covering the back of my ugly chair. ADD here too. Woohoo! Shout out to the ADD ADHD crowd. I find if I go by the clock, set time limits, I tend to rush or I'm not fully present in current tasks. Yes, absolutely. And I find it really hard to be present in a lot of things because I have a million thoughts going around in my brain at once. Like, what do I need to do later tonight? Did I leave the stove on? Did I remember my house keys as I'm walking out to my car? With the door already locked behind me. Oh boy, Squirrel. Squirrel will come later. Wait for it. So time limits for me, if I see, I've tried this because I've gone back to this before and I kind of forgot about this technique up until last September, October. I forgot that this actually worked for me, and it really sucks because I feel like I've wasted the last 6 freaking years not using this. If I see a list and I have times on the list, and then that time goes by and that item is not crossed off, and then the next one goes by and I haven't done that either, and then the next one and I haven't done that either, I get really sad and depressed and angry with myself because I haven't met that deadline. And it can be crushing. It is the worst. Yes, exactly. The worst feeling in the world, says Ted. Rachel says, I don't have a hyperactivity, but everything else, I get overwhelmed and shut down. I find my energy fluctuations are more mental and have to reset. Yeah, that's true too. We need a lot of downtime. And Lady Steph actually, and Lady Crystal before her in the World Walkers, covers this. And I'm not the best at following this because I'm high octane and I run all day. without stopping or slowing down, because the moment I stop or slow down, I'm asleep. They recommend that you have spiritual time and mundane time in equal measure, because we are both spiritual beings and physical beings, and we need that balance. And yes, I am totally saying do as I say and not as I do at this point. And I see Aisha cackling up there, and it makes me so happy. um Ebony says, you feel like a constant letdown no matter when people say and even what people say, and even though you know better. Yes. That is it. That is what I was trying to make the point of, like, distilled into a perfect sentence. Thank you. So let me see. What else did I want to dive into? So let me get into really quick. Oh, thank you, Aisha. And you have reassured me so many times. She said, that is why I always reassure my friends, because it can be hard. I mean, Aisha, there were months and months that went by when I was like, I really should just reach out and say hi to Aisha, but I don't know if she's going to be really mad that I forgot about her for like 3 years. And she's going like this, and she's like, nah, it's all good. And, that's basically, she's like, Liz, how you been? Why the heck haven't you called me? I'm right here. Duh. Why are you letting this? She's dying with laughter again. Why are you letting this ADHD, this little niggle of self doubt over here, yap your ear off instead of letting me yap your ear off, or whatever, that kind of deal. So let me give you a couple of techniques that you might be able to do better if you have ADHD, or even perhaps even more importantly, if you are teaching somebody who has or is suspected to have ADHD. I find that it's easier for me to give energy to people than to things, such as trees or Mama Earth. And so grounding for me when I was a baby witch, and even now sometimes was super hard, because that connection, I just didn't have the other side of the link. But when I would give energy to other people, it worked like a charm. No big deal. Easy. So about 7 years ago, my good sister Alyssa, the Right Reverend Alyssa, said, Liz, you know how you can just give energy to me? And so she shook my hands and she's like, okay, give energy to me, ground into me. And then she opened up her feet chakras, and she let my energy pour into her hands, through her body, down through her feet. And then she said, now imagine that Earth is me. Imagine that Earth is a human, and do exactly what you just did. And I'm going to cry because that was like the most revelational little thing that I'm surprised I didn't think of. And that's part of why I want to interact with more people who have ADHD, so that we can, and people who are familiar with ADHD. It was profound. Because we need this information. It's great for us to say, oh, well, you can find what works for you. Okay, but where are the tools for me to go out and find this? Where are they? They're up here in my brain. And one of the things that I really want to do was start sharing them with other people, so that they can transform other people's lives too. Because everyone can do magic. Everyone can do this. Just some of us got to do it a little differently. God, I'm crying. This is really emotional. um Okay, deep breath. Time for another drink. Moment, please. So, so memory is a big problem. for me. And the tools, finding them and assembling them and keeping them all in my brain and like present in my brain it can be difficult. Um, we started this on the radio 5 years ago. Yes, Phoenix, is that Phoenix Williams? Is that you? Yes, it is. Hey, bro. Awesome. I love you so much. Phoenix has been here for me through these struggles and trials and tribulations so freaking much. He is the man. You should learn stuff from him too. Be sure to go and watch all of his stuff because he's great. And I am so thankful to have him as my brother and a fellow high priest. Um, what else did I want to talk about? Hold on, consulting my notes. Oh, right. So more techniques, right? So, I gave you the grounding example. Like if you find it hard to ground into Earth, imagine Earth as a person. Because honestly, she is. Because we are her. And therefore she is us and she is a person. That might make it easier for you. Um, remembering to shield and reset your shields throughout the day can also be a struggle. It definitely is for me. So I have been searching high and low underneath things in lots of other books, for techniques for this shielding thing that people just seem to be able to do no problem. And noon comes around and they're having their noontime cup of tea or lunch or whatever. Oh yeah, remember to shield. And then 5 o'clock rolls around, dinner time. Oh yeah, remember to refresh those shields. Not really so for me. So there is an elemental shield that I have found is pretty consistent, lasts pretty much the whole day. Um, and Lady Emerald taught me this actually just a few weeks ago, and it's an all-in-one nice little package for shielding out emotional crap, shielding out the fiery, angry stuff, and shielding out all the rest of the nonsense. And basically, it layers like 4 or 5 different shields like a geode. So by the end of it, your whole body is encased in a geode of energy. And it's a little bit, let's see who's messaging me on Facebook. Okay, it doesn't matter who's messaging me on Facebook right now. Focus. See, squirrel. um let me see. So there are some people who are dashing around to get things done, and then you space out and you forget. Yes, that is exactly what happens. Z, thank you so much for that. um So basically, this shield. Let me just try to explain it as I build it here. So there are the 4 elements, right? Air, fire, water, and earth. All right. So we're gonna start with air on closest to our bodies to give us a nice cushion. And so air is for us yellow. And so I just imagine myself like in like a nice little puffball of air. And when I have that pretty much centered and I can feel it when I'm pressing on it. Then I go to the next layer, which is fire. And this thing is a giant ball of freaking fire. Okay? Like the sun. I have that solid in my mind that it's pretty warm about out here. And then I go to the next layer, water. Water is nice and wavy, peaceful, but also crashes left, right, and center when things try to get going in towards you and mess up your mojo. Okay, so now I have like this I'm in like a bubble of air and fire and water, right? And then comes my favorite part, which is the geode. And I just imagine a crystal forming around me with a nice hard outer crust that's not gonna let anything get in my way. because if it makes it through the geode, it's gonna get doused in water, and then it's gonna get burnt up by fire, and then the air is just gonna be like, nope, before it gets to me. And that's the whole point of a shield. And this thing lasts all darn day. All day. For me. And I hope it does for you too. Let's see. I am sweating. I am not sweating. I have learned shielding through trial and error. The analogy about a geode is very helpful. You are a beautiful soul. Oh, thank you so much, Corey. I do have a lot of passion, and I love being able to channel it into this. Okay? A lot of you already know this about me, but it's worth saying again. All right? I am a high priestess. I am a Correllian high priestess. Correllianism is my life. This is my life's work. And it has been such a long road. Do we want an open chat and after party? Yes, absolutely. Of course I do. I want to hear what everybody has to say. It's 7:38. I've been talking for about 40 minutes. I love that I have like a little tiny clock, even though it's really small, to kind of keep on track here. And I'm glad that my passion can keep your attention. Squirrel, right. So on to the squirrel part of this, okay? About 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, my beloved sister Alyssa, who I mentioned earlier, helped me create a thought form. And having ADHD, this thought form, being a squirrel that would not distract me, but in fact bring my attention towards things that I needed to be doing or that I had forgotten about, was the perfect gift. So we created this little squirrel, and he is about this big, about as big as my hands, and he is silver and gray, and he is as bouncy as I am, and he sparkles. And he is like my little mental helper. And he's like that little voice in my head, in the back of my head, that goes, hey, don't forget about this. Don't forget about this. This is important. You got to do this right now before you forget again. And I rediscovered him last week after JJ came up with a title for this class, this presentation. And I'm so glad to have him back in my life again, because he was really helpful, and he was my little helper to get all these tasks done that I had written down and that I would go over and over again with Lady Steph every week to get stuff done, notebook after notebook after notebook. It was amazing. He is amazing. And the fact that we can come up with these things, that we can turn squirrel into squirrel. It was brilliant. And Lord Don is grinning like a madman because he thought that it was brilliant at the time. And I remember, like, he just listened to me for like 45 minutes explaining how this little squirrel works, and it was the best feeling in the entire world to have a squirrel on my side, because all this little squirrel wanted to do was show me shiny, interesting stuff. So all I had to tell it was to do was, go, hey, here's the stuff that's really interesting and shiny to me. Remind me about this stuff. And here's my other one. This stuff is also important. So if I get too distracted with this stuff and I forget to do this stuff, remind me about this stuff too. And if I forget, like words and things, I just go, and this is literally, it worked earlier. I can't remember with what word. But I would go, hey, Sparky, what's that word for X, Y, and Z? And Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay because it takes a little bit of a time. Oh yeah, right. Da 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 da. All the reminders. Yes. And Rachel, you need a squirrel? Awesome. Make your squirrel. Make it. And this is where this rapid fire magic comes into play. Don't get distracted with the fancy dancy stuff. Just open your hands and imagine you have a little squirrel jumping up from the ground into your hands. Hi, squirrel. What's your name? Listen for the answer. He will give you his name or her name or its name. And there you go. And then you have to program him. So you tell him what you want him to do. Tell him what his job is. And these shiny little sparkly squirrels will do exactly what you tell them to do. They will remind you of appointments, to take your meds, to eat, to drink, to make that phone call to Auntie Marge that you haven't talked to in 5 years because it's their birthday or whatever. Doesn't matter. Really helpful. Or was that today? I have no idea when that was, Ebony. I think it might have been yesterday because you and I really haven't talked today that much. There is much power in the squirrel mentality. Yes. Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes, there is. So let me see. What else? There was some things Sparky. What else were we supposed to talk about, buddy? And I named mine Sparky because he has like these little sparks that just kind of come off of him when he moves around. You know, instead of being enemies, work together. Yes, yes, Aisha has it. Turn that distraction into a tool for your toolbox. And it's kind of like flipping it on its head almost. Let me just go over my notes a little bit. So one of the most important things, and last but of course certainly not least, I would like to talk about meditation. As I said in the beginning of this class, sitting still and trying to meditate is a virtual impossibility for me. So I discovered there's this thing called moving meditations. It's things like knitting, crocheting, listening to music, walking outside on the sidewalk, swimming. I've meditated while I was swimming in a lake before. It was freaking amazing. Doing anything with your body, dancing, cooking, anything that gets you, and I'm sure that we've all felt the zone. Congratulations, you've meditated while moving. If it feels right, it's working. And what else do I have to add to that? Another thing about this is that sometimes what works one day really awesomely will kind of not work the next day super awesomely. So it's a good idea to kind of have a lot of things where you can swap a thing out if the other thing isn't working. Dancing meditations is one of the most amazing things in the world. Roble, I completely agree. And Ebony says the zone explains a lot. Yes. So let's see. What else do I want to say? We got about 15 minutes. I guess we'll just open it up for questions. Who has questions for me? Anything at all? Being creative through your meditation manifests inspiration to others as well. Yes, Corey, precisely, exactly. I can't see the whole gallery here. Hold on.
Sorry.
Hi, Ebony. How you doing, sweetie?
Oh, I'm hanging in there.
Awesome.
With my squirrely self.
Yeah, I know, right? I love that so many people are totally like grokking this. This is amazing. This is awesome. And I can't believe there's 30 people in here. Holy crap, where did you all come from? This is great.
Parts of the world.
Right? So questions.
I
Ask
think I do
away.
have a question.
Say again?
I said I think I actually do have a question if I can get it out of my head correctly here. Oh God, now I'm having a moment. See,
Ask
it's
your
happening
ask
everywhere.
your ask your squirrel
Oh,
to chase
come
it
on.
down.
Oh, run faster. Oh, okay. So I was curious what your opinion would be as something that would that might be the most important thing for people who don't have ADHD to know about people who do and how to deal with
Oh boy.
interacting with people who do, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense. And
It's
I
kind of
would
a loaded
say,
question.
yeah, it's a giant question. It's like I could talk about that for an entire class probably, but I'll
Yeah.
try to sum it up. Um, the most important thing to understand about us is that a lot of us are really high octane. A lot of us aren't really aware of just how high of an octane we are. And please know that we're not trying to overwhelm you on purpose. And if we're a lot of us speak at a very high volume, so just gently go like, "Oh, hey, Liz, you're yelling again. Oops, sorry guys." That kind of thing. Please be gentle, be gentle with us, because with all of this high octane, high energy, running with life on life's fuel comes often, I've found, really big hearts. And a lot of us, for me growing up, I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was in my late 20s, or
Same.
well, mid 20s, right? Um And so I grew up hearing, no, you're doing it wrong. No, 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 no. That's not the way that you're supposed to do it. You're a
Yes,
bad person, blah, 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 blah. And
exactly.
so if you come at us saying, no, you're just too loud and you need to be more respectful, that's going to really hurt us. And it's going to really damage our self esteem and our self worth. And yeah, we all speak like that in all caps. um so what I would say is try to meet us also where we're at. And I think that goes for anyone anywhere, right? um and just love us and embrace our super hyper out of controlness sometimes. Come along for the ride. You might just find out that it's not all that bad. You just have to accept the energy, and you don't have to absorb all the energy either. You guys have shields. If we're too much, increase your shield. It won't block all of our energy out if you don't want it to, but it might just take the volume down enough to where you're like, okay, that's just Liz. That's just how she is. I have a lot of you are like, yeah, that's just Liz. I mean, I know that a lot of you are on screen right now, but I've seen it and I've heard it before, and I really appreciate how all of you just love me and embrace me for who I am. Um, let me see here. I have a lot of friends with ADHD. The best thing I did for myself and for my friends who were diagnosed was educate myself so I can understand my friends to the best of my ability. Yes, Aisha, you rock. That is a good example also of what to do. Listen to people with ADHD. If they tell you they won't call you on your birthday, they probably don't even remember your birthday. Dates and times and stuff like that in my brain, I need to write them down. I need them in my phone. I need them in my smartwatch that I just got like last week, right? To help me remind myself about these things. And we understand the importance, but it's something that we're born with, and I'm sure I don't know that there's a lot of us who wouldn't want to have it, but if you can help make our lives easier, please do, because it's really hard. It really is hard. And we have to work twice as hard as everybody else, it feels like, to get the same amount of stuff done, especially if we're not diagnosed at a young age. Um, let's see. Does that answer your question, Ebony?
Yes, that answers it quite well. And I completely relate to all of that because I grew up a lot of my life having people tell me over and over again how ridiculous I was, or I was
Oh
just being
yeah.
childish, or I was just being this or that, whatever. And it was
Mhm.
many years long until I was old and out of the well, not old. I'm not old. I mean, I'm only 37. I'm not old, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, until I actually got out on my own, and then and started to make friends and meet other people. And even then, I still lost a lot of folk because they just didn't get it, and I didn't understand because no one would tell me what to do. And even now, I still struggle with stuff because it's just like, okay, I realize there are things that I should know at this point in my life at 37, but considering no one ever told me, one, what was wrong with me, two, what to do about it, I don't, if you don't know where to go, you don't know how to fix it. So it's hard to explain that to people sometimes because they're just like, how can you not know? And I'm like, I know, I'm right there with you. Lead the way. Come on now. So, but yeah, no, totally
Exactly.
answered the question.
Totally and completely, exactly, 110%. And that is something that I just want to reiterate for the emphasis and the underscore and the bold and the italics and the little asterisks around it, to just make sure that people realize that this is important. We don't know what we don't know. We have not learned all the skills. If we don't know the skill, we probably don't have the tools to do the skill. So teach us. Don't just say, "Oh, well, you should know how to do that."
Or my favorite, if you really cared, you wouldn't blah blah blah.
Oh, oh, I
Oh yeah,
So
those.
if there's one thing, okay, so you just touched on the biggest thing that I want everybody to know about people with ADHD. That number one thing, if you loved me, you would remember XYZPDQ. That is a soul crusher. You want to talk about making me mad. You want to talk about upsetting me. I hate that. I don't hate a lot of things, but I hate that with a passion, because that's telling me that my mental condition, which I did not ask to have when I was born, which I cannot control every single day, you're telling me that it's my fault for not being able to do what you can do because you don't have what I have. Um, and so teaching us, um, hmm, one thing that I want to explain really quick that I should have touched on earlier, I wanted to touch on earlier, but I forgot until just now, is something called executive functioning. And that goes back to the whole planning, organizing, and execution kind of deal, right? So we don't have that. We have it, and if we do have it, it's in very limited quantities. Um, so when you say, well, just do it, how? Outline the steps, give us the pieces, show us, do it with us, be our body doubles, sit on the phone with us. If I had a person that would just sit on the phone with me for like an hour every week, my room, which you guys do not see right now for reasons which I will not dive into, it's a disaster. It would be so much cleaner because I could just yap, 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 and my hands could just pick up everything and put things away and make it nice and neat, and ta-da. Let's see. So yeah, that was a lot. Let's see here. Anybody else have any questions? Just raise your hand or open your mic or type it in the chat room. Gentle reminders can be nice. Demanding or putting us down for not doing something is not helpful. Mine didn't escalate until after a major surgery, so rewiring my thinking of myself has been huge. And there isn't a lot of help for adults. Correct. But there is help. And one thing that I also cannot stress enough, if you have ADHD or suspect you have ADHD, please, please, please go to a therapist. Find a therapist. They're really helpful. They can be really awesomely non-judgmental, and they can actually help you start to find and figure out how to use those tools that I was talking about earlier in that toolbox, that functionality toolbox. Um Aisha says she always gets complimented at work on her how she does her job. She always says, "I perform according to the training I was given. I cannot do more than that or less." Yeah, pretty much. Ricky says, "So you don't plan or do you plan?" So I plan, but I have come to accept that plans change very suddenly sometimes. And I have come to accept that if I have a list of stuff to do 15,000 pages long and I want to get them all done in a week, it's not going to happen. And this is part of being gentle with myself and being okay with the fact that I'm not Superman. So yes, I plan, but I'm also learning to become flexible with those plans and learning that sometimes I just need a day off. I can't do it all by myself. I can't do it all alone. I can't do it every single day. Energizer bunnies we may be, but even the Energizer bunny falls over every once in a blue moon. Let's see. You can have 2 hours. Oh, Celtic Fire, you are freaking amazing. I love you so much. Uh, let's see here. So Corey says, I understand you, Lady Liz. I have social anxiety and I am very sensitive, not as much as I used to because I've trained myself through both magic and cognitive therapy with emotions. Loud noises, crowds, violence, raised voices tend to make me nervous. There is an awkwardness that overcomes my nerdiness, and I tend to talk in circles. Yes, we talk in circles. But you know what? That's okay because circular conversations are the most fun, I find. Um, oh, Stacy. Oh gosh, I have buddies to put in my contact list. Cleaning buddies. Ah, yes, I'm so happy. Oh, you all are making me feel so loved. Ah. Um, so let's see. I have had clients that have just improved their whole view just because I normalize and empathize with their ADHD. Normalizing for yourself and understanding yourself is the hardest thing. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. This is a step up from hi Lexi. Yes, this is indeed a step up from the old chat function. um all right, so let's see. Thank you, Liz. You have opened up much understanding of those who do not have ADHD. Very much appreciated. Anytime, Mike. Guys, pick my brain. I am here for you. I have lived with this my whole life, and I know that you don't know what you don't know, so it might kind of make it difficult to open to ask questions. Haven't changed a bit. Looking good. Oh, thank you, Lexi. I've kind of gotten into these new like men's shirts kind of deal. They have these awesome things called pockets. Amazing, aren't they? I still think that I need to just, I have this crazy idea. I want to open this clothing line for women, and every article of clothing will have an actual big usable pocket, like all men's clothing has. And the company will be called Pockets. Literally, this is one of the ideas that's stuck up here in my brain. And Ebony is like screaming, yes. Let's see here. Yes, I talk in circles. I notice my ADD changed after a few toxic situations and PTSD comes into play. Yes, life and home situations can make it more stressful. I am very sorry that it got worse for you or changed in the negative direction, Z Smith, and I hope you're doing a lot better now. Um, Rachel said you may have missed it earlier, but what is the most religious or magical thing that helps you with your ADHD in the mundane world? Thank you for bringing it up again. Yes, I did miss it. Um, or if you just don't feel comfortable asking if that's fine. Okay, so the most religious slash magical thing that helps me with my ADHD in the mundane world. Hmm. Wow, that really has me thinking. That's a really good tough question. And if any of you have to like poof to go to the next workshop, that's fine. I love you all and thank you so much for being here. But I want to keep talking because this is fun. I'm having a good time and I hope all of you are too. So to answer this question, um, I I think that the most valuable um, spiritual tool is self acceptance. And this is something like making your bed. You have to do it every day because that self acceptance meter, sometimes you just wake up and you really just, everything sucks. You hate it. You can't get out the door on time. You forgot to make your coffee, or you made your coffee and then you left it right next to the coffee pot because you were trying to get your lunch together and then you ran out the door because you take 20 minutes to do something that should only take 5, so you don't have coffee. you know, sometimes you just have to sit down and say, okay, I know this is not my fault. I know that I am still worthy. I know that I am still loved. I know that I am amazing. I know that I am awesome. I know that this started out like a really rough day, but let's figure out how the hell I can turn this beast around. Things like that. Positive reinforcement. And I think that the other religious tool that I have is my support system within the Correllian tradition and other places, other magical people that I've gotten to know over the past couple of years, such as those in the ATC and such as Rebecca Lynn Scott, who spoke yesterday and who helped me really break through some stuff that was holding me back. This weekend, guys, has been all about transformation. And, last night, I guess I just put my foot down and I'm like, look, I am done. I am done with being held back. I am done with this nonsense. I am a high freaking priestess and I'm going to work the mojo because I got a lot to do. And it ain't going to get done if I don't do it. Cuz nobody else knows what's up in here unless I say it or write it. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see here. Okay, thank you to everyone. Oh, I love you guys so much. Self-acceptance. No coffee is a bad thing. That is the truth. Celtic fire, baby. Oh. Self-affirmations. Yes, exactly. Distractions in the morning, usually the news or music, and you lose track of time. And Aisha says, we are the ones who hold ourselves back, whether we realize it or not. Bingo. Right. Keep embracing your inner squirrel. And so the other thing is that is helpful. If somebody with ADHD comes to you and is frankly a mess, a wreck, say, okay, look, I realize that you're a wreck right now and I want to help you. Let's go and start seeing what you did like years ago that was working for you and bring those things back, helping us to remember these things, because honestly I did forget all about my cute little sparkly squirrel. It's as if he never existed. Helping us to remember these things and bring them back into our lives is one of the most amazing things and the person that you help will be so thankful. So thankful. It is always awesome to go back to basics. Yes. Roble asks, doing things that are very meticulous or that you need a lot of attention help you focus. I'm not sure I understand the question. Doing meticulous things for me, it depends on what the meticulous thing is, whether or not it helps me focus. So something that I was really super awesome at doing was helping manage the Tradition and update Tradition's website. And I used to always also do the scheduling for all of the chats and Facebook groups. Like, for example, the World Walkers and the Watan Council. I would schedule all their meetings and I would just get it done basically in a day, for the whole year, which was really awesome that I used to be able to do that. And I really want to do that again. So it depends. Like, if I like doing that thing, and if I feel that motivational fire, yes, awesome, I can do it. Especially if I have some good music to help distract the squirrel part of my brain. Wade, for example, in making a complex origami figure. So the thing that I find interesting about origami is that it can be quite meditative. And I'm glad that you touched on the origami because I almost forgot to show off my my cute little butterfly that I made out of a sheet of paper that I bought at the store. It's cool and little fancy, and it's got like little dots all over it, and it's cute and it's fun. It kind of broke though because this paper was too thick. Oh man, Ebony, I want to hear more of your music. Yes, please. Dance, dance, music revolution. Um so if I have something to do with my hands and I know what I'm doing and I can do it like automatically, like washing dishes or whatever, or folding an origami, I can either use that to really focus in on what I'm doing and really be present in making that origami figure, or I can just use it to like talk to myself or meditate with the ancestors or anything else which I haven't been able to accomplish any other way. And it doesn't always work, but when it does, it's awesome. Any other questions, folks? And I have a question for you. Would you recommend this class to other people? Would you like to participate again? Would you like a class similar to this one in like a series maybe? Because I kind of got that bouncing around in my brain.
Please, 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 yes, yes.
Okay. Yes. I'm getting so many yeses. It's great. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, by the way, yes.
I love you, Ebony. You're so cute. Awesome. So let's see. What else do I want to say? I guess I just want to say thank you to everyone. This has been so refreshing for me. I was so nervous, but as always, it's just until I start, till the thing goes live, and I just kind of push the boulder over that little piece of hill, and then it just goes all on its own. Thank you guys so much, and I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel all of your love.
I love you too.
Oh, thank you.
And everybody on here.
Yes. There's so many people here. I can't believe how many people are here watching me.
We love you.
Oh, thank you, Celtic Fire. I love you too.
Celtic Fire.
Oh, yes.
I love you.
Thank you.
Aisha.
Besos. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Muchos besos.
Yes. All right. without any further
They love
questions.
babies.
Oh, thank you, Apu. I love you too.
Love you, boo.
I love you so much. Okay, so if you want to continue this conversation with me, I think that there was mention of like an after party kind of chat sort of thing. So we can open that up, or we can just leave this streaming. I don't care as long. Lord Don, do you have anything pressing? Or we can just stop the live stream and then yap 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 yap.
Why don't we stop the recording and then go on with the after party?
Okay, sounds like a
I
plan
like
to
the way
me.
she thinks.
Yeah, I like the way she thinks too.
We gonna get turned up. No, I'm kidding.
Yep, that's right. That's right. You know, if I'm in the house, things are gonna be nutty.
I gotta go get my wine.
So yeah, when we set up the chat tonight, we're not going to record it.
Okay. Oh, you're well, I mean, I was thinking like, to start now, not like later. I mean,
You can start. You can continue this. I mean, there's no reason.
yeah. We're still live on the stream though. All right, I'm gonna press the stop recording button, and then we can just talk about whatever. How's that sound, you guys?
Okay.
All right, awesome. So concluded.
And Don needs to hit the other one to stop the other one.
Yeah. You want to stop cloud recording.
End meeting.